Hi, Steph. It's good to see your face. Um, I didn't know that about Saturdays being Misha Day. I just thought Saturdays were the day when they sing the song on stage. Where's Misha? Because I'm always late to my panel. Um, Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Hold on. I have to figure out how to close this window so I'm not looking at my strange face. Um, Hi. Now I'm just looking at the camera lens. I hope everyone is doing okay. What I'm sure not everyone is doing okay. But the good news is there appears to be a light at the end of the tunnel here, and we are going to be out of the darkness of the last year soon. It is strange to reflect that it was the beginning of March last year when we were chewing on whether to do the convention in Vegas at all. It was like, is this pandemic thing real? Is it not real? Things had not been shut down yet. We were still on set in Supernatural, still shooting, and we had a convention that weekend, that early March weekend, and that was it. I was in Vegas, and that was the last time that I was at any sort of public gathering. And then the world shut down, and it's been a full year. At the time, I remember we were all, reflecting after, I think production got shut down on Supernatural just a couple of days after that weekend. And at that time, we were reflecting on the fact that we were probably going to be back to work in the summer, maybe June, they were saying. And it just went on and on and on, and it's still going on. Yeah, that was an interesting little moment. It was Castiel's death scene that was shot Friday night, and then it was my goodbye to Supernatural, because it ended up being my last moments on set. And there were a lot of tearful goodbyes. It was a late night on Friday. Richard Speight was directing. And then we all got on. We had to get a chartered flight that weekend because we were shooting late on a Friday, and a bunch of us were working at the convention on Saturday. So we got on this chartered flight at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and got up in the air and flew for about 10 minutes before the engine exploded. It was like this explosion, and the plane started shuddering, and there was this screaming sound, and we had to circle back, and it took about 20 minutes to get before we were approaching the runway, and we were all texting our partners saying, "Tell the kids I love them," as we came back into cell tower range, because we didn't know if there were all these fire engines on the tarmac, and we thought we were going to die. So it was this really intense weekend where I said goodbye to Supernatural and to the cast and crew of Supernatural. I said goodbye to this beloved character who had become part of the fabric of my own emotional interior life, Castiel. And then I thought I was saying goodbye to my kids as well. It was a lot. Ultimately, we ended up getting on a dawn commercial flight and showing up late to the convention and getting there for the convention. And then that ended up being the last time that we as Supernatural cast members could see could see one another, but also could see any of the fans in person. So it was like this really intense stretch of goodbyes. And now we're at the 1-year anniversary of that. And we find me sitting on a porch outside, rambling like a doddering old person into my laptop, not seeing any of your faces, but wishing you all well. I see your comments scrolling by, and I have to say, slow down, people, because I can't read them. There's somebody trying to hitch a ride here, guys. We have a hitchhiker. Oh my goodness. Nope, my speed reading skills are not up to the task. Luckily, the Supernatural creation staff here has been curating some questions for me. I have a question from SPN made me cry. That's a very unusual name. Your parents must have been big Supernatural fans. SPN made me cry. The question is, hey Hazel, hi. The question is, how's my hip? And the answer is, look at this. I just stood up and I sat back down again, and I didn't use a cane. So that's pretty amazing, isn't it? Earlier today, I'm not bragging, but earlier today, I walked downstairs and made myself a cup of tea. I'm 3 weeks out, and I have no obvious signs of infection or malfunction in my new artificial joint. So thanks for asking. Arianen. Hi. Arianen has a question for me. Misha, if you could do anything dangerous just once without risk or consequences, what would it be? Love from Wisconsin. I could do anything dangerous just once without any risk of consequences, what would it be? That's a really good question. I do think that the consequences sometimes do factor in to my decision making about whether or not I want to try something. I guess I would be kind of intrigued by the idea of space travel. I think I would like to maybe visit the moon or the International Space Station or something like that. But first of all, did you know, Arianen, that the Russians sell seats on space flights to people who are willing to pay $20 million or more? So if you have the money and you aren't too risk averse, it's possible to go visit the International Space Station. I would be interested in doing that if there were no consequences and no price tag. And I suppose the consequences of a $20 million price tag are pretty high. But if we could take that off, I would go to the moon or to the space station. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm sure I have a better answer. That's why I'm just stalling here. But you didn't squander a good hour of your Saturday morning to just look at me, contemplate, stare off into the trees and ponder. Or did you? Maybe that's why we're all here, for you to watch me staring into the trees. It is very strange talking to not people. I'm just talking to my computer screen. This is making me question my own sanity, actually, if I'm being honest. Okay. Mandalaru. Hi. Misha, if you could join any band, current or past, who would you pick? Love from SoCal. I'm in SoCal too. Small world. I think I would join I think I would join this is a good mashup of the last two answers. I would join the Rolling Stones because I would join the Rolling Stones in their heyday, but I would piggyback that with the no consequences question, and I would join the Rolling Stones and engage in all of the sex and drugs that they do, but I wouldn't have hangovers, and I wouldn't have I wouldn't be afraid of dying, and it would be great, and I wouldn't contract any STIs. It would be a real blast. I read Keith Richards' book, and I don't know if how many of you have read his autobiography. Oh wow, did they have? They really lived the rock and roll lifestyle. Anyway, okay, I don't really want that, but that's my answer. What do you think? Barbara A says, what do you think could ever happen between John Winchester and Castiel if they met? I think it's pretty obvious what would happen. They would engage in a rousing game of thumb wrestling. Hi, West. Bye, West. See how he ignores me? He's a former teenager. Dasha says, hello from Belarus. If you could film in one of the legendary films, what movie would it be and which role? Sending lots of love to you. I really would love to have been in The Matrix, the first Matrix movie, and I would like Keanu Reeves' role. I think that would have been really awesome. I want to be Keanu Reeves. Hi, Zlata from Russia. What would Castiel do if he became God? What would Castiel do if he became God? Zlata, watch the show. He did become God, and he was an asshole. I just came up with a really great strategy, guys. I'm going to win this round. I just screen capped so I can just see what you're asking me, and you can't stop me from asking your creepy questions. Maria Luzia 14 says, a cycle of our life has come to an end and we are going to start a new phase of our life. So what is your advice for us to deal with this? Well, I think this is a very good question. However, I have to say, Maria, I don't know if you're referring to the pandemic, which seems to be winding up, or the end of Supernatural, which has wound up. So it's really two questions. The first question, the pandemic ending, I actually think that there are, first of all, like, this has been a terrible tragedy and so many people have lost their lives, their loved ones, frankly, even losing your sense of smell, which a lot of people are suffering through right now, or losing your job is bad enough. But it's been a real hard time for a lot of people. And that suffering will continue. However, I think that collectively we'll also have some silver linings. And one of the things I think that we're going to learn is what it is that we truly needed and missed in being able to be in community with one another and to be able to touch one another, and and all of the things that are so critical about being a part of the human family. So I think we're going to see a big flourishing of community experience in the coming months once everybody's vaccinated. Get your vaccines, by the way. Don't not get your vaccines. As far as Supernatural being over, if that's what you're referring to, and I can't know for sure, it's an exciting new chapter for all of us. We are going to move on to other stories and other chapters of our lives. And the nice thing about Supernatural ending is that the show is available on streaming services. So like an old friend, we can revisit it. And I think that the fandom itself is not going away, and us cast members are going to always see ourselves as inextricably and permanently ensnared in this community. So we're not going anywhere either. And we'll be able to see each other at conventions, but also I think the community itself will live on. So that's not a terribly fatalistic, I guess. Listening to myself talk, I noticed that I must be imbued with a new sense of optimism coming out of what has amounted to a long, dark winter. Misha, please tell us about the alternative ending. What are they going to do? Fire you? Well, I don't know what I can tell you about the alternative ending. I don't think it's a secret anymore. The alternative ending um, was gonna take place in a roadhouse, and is it out there? Maybe I am spoiling it. I don't know. It was gonna take place in a roadhouse, and we were gonna have like so many of the cast members from over the years, uh, fan favorite cast members, were just going to be in the roadhouse, and that roadhouse would have represented Dean's version of heaven, and the band Kansas was actually booked to play live on the stage in this roadhouse, and it would be a really like lovely, beautiful reunion. But the only problem with that is that during the pandemic, it would have required all of the cast members who flew up from the U.S. to quarantine for 2 weeks, and there were restrictions on the number of people that could be even on set, even cast members. Like we couldn't have a certain number of extras, blah blah blah. So it actually became, in the pandemic, it became an impossible uh, thing to shoot, which is a completely unpredictable outcome. No one could have imagined that we were able to shoot something, but not a crowd scene in a closed space like that. There was talk of possibly shooting it in an outdoor at an outdoor stage instead of in an interior of a roadhouse. There were efforts made to try to modify things to make it happen, but it didn't end up working out. This is my Winchester. Mia Winchester is asking, Misha, what is your favorite memory playing Castiel? My favorite memory playing Castiel, I don't have one favorite memory, but I do. I think when I reflect on the fond memories of shooting, it was really just the laughing. You know, we just had a great time on set, and there were so many days and so many late nights when we were just sitting there laughing, wasting Warner Brothers money, ruining takes by pranking one another, and um, and I think that friendship and that joy and camaraderie are those are elements of working on a set that I will undoubtedly be uh, trying to recreate for the rest of my career, because that was the highlight for sure. All right, I've exhausted a screenshot's worth of questions. Wish there was a way I could just like pause your incessant typing. You people are too fast at typing. Wait, I wonder here. Let's conduct an experiment. Everyone, stop typing in the chat. Let's see if this could possibly work. Is it possible? What if everyone stopped typing? No questions. Guys, very disobedient. It's scrolling as fast as it possibly can right now. It's going even faster now that I said stop typing. You little... It's stopping. Slow down. Wait, guys, you're doing it. We're doing it. If I see your name in the chat, that means that you're not following instructions. That's all it means. Okay. You're all... I could almost read one. It's slowing down. All right. Forget it. I can't work with you people. Here's a question. Hi, I'm Chusha. Hi. What kind of animal do you think Castiel could have? I think Castiel had he had an angry cat stuffed animal that he gave to Claire, So a cat seems like, I think it should be a cat, because also then we have that clever play on words with Catstiel. So it would be Castiel with his feline Catstiel, and I think that would be a winning combination. And I think there's also something kind of endearing about the idea of a middle-aged man in a trench coat petting a cat, and then occasionally pulling out an angel blade and stabbing somebody. I just think it's a nice visual. So that would work for me. Maybe a hairless cat. I don't know if you guys have seen those. I can't remember what their other name is, but they're really, truly creepy looking animals. Or like a pet rat could be cool. I went out with the kids kayaking yesterday, and we saw a great blue heron catch a rat and grab it by the head in its beak and shake it so that it broke its neck, and then swallow it whole. Isn't that cool? I can tell you more stories like that. All right. N95 masks? I have a mask right here. Hold on. I have an N95 mask right here. Where are you going for a bike ride?
We're going for a walk.
You're going for a walk. All right. Good luck. Happy adventure. Okay. Okay. Hi, Misha. Oh, this is Nastya from Russia, and she's asking, what do I think about TikTok? Maybe I want to do a movie like Felicia. I don't know what movie Felicia did. What are you talking about? I don't even have the TikTok app on my phone. That's what I think about it. It's just like I couldn't handle the idea of doing yet another social media platform yet. So I haven't engaged in TikTok. Thank you for your question. It inspires me to realize that I need to join TikTok. So I'm going to make that my New Year's resolution for March. Thanks. I'm getting on it. Hey, Misha, this is Dean's Pie asking a question. Could you tell us about your new project? Sending lots of love from Michigan. Well, I don't know what project you're referring to. I was working on repairing a little Lego castle that Mason made out of Legos this morning. Is that the project you're referring to? I have a book coming out in the fall. It's a book of poetry, and I have to figure out what the title of that book is by Monday. So that's a project that I'm working on right now, figuring out what the title is and also finishing the book. And I have a couple of other feature film projects that I'm working on developing, and I'm also working on the project of healing up so that I can start running again after my surgery. And then there's another big project that I'm working on, which is trying to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life, which, as it turns out, is a rather onerous task, unpacking what one wants to be when one grows up. So those are my projects that I'm currently working on. I think I probably have other projects, but I can't think of them. Well, here's a project. Right now, Gish is happening. We're doing a mini hunt for Gish this weekend. This very moment, it's happening. And Felicia Day, who was just mentioned in that TikTok question, is actually hosting. And we just launched a little fundraiser for the indigenous people of Ecuador, the the Kichwa people, who have just been devastated by a terrible oil spill in the Ecuadorian jungle. And we're raising money for them. That's a project that I'm working on. Yeah, I could ramble, and I am rambling. I have been rambling. This is one big ramble. I am reading some other questions. This is from D Loves Cass. Hi, Mish. What hobbies have you picked up to deal with the ending of the show? I'm glad that you asked about hobbies and not addictions. That's a good sign. I have been coping with the end of the show. You know what? To be honest with you, I think that one of the things that I've realized when the show ended is that I was way too busy, and that I need to put a little bit more breathing room in my life. I was finally able, for example, to finish a manuscript for a book that I've been trying to write for like 7 years or something. And so I had a little bit more bandwidth for that and for some other, projects that I had just mentioned. But I've also had a lot more time to go camping with my kids and spend some time in nature. And that's been really lovely. But I was too busy before. So one of the hobbies that I'm trying to pick up is slowing down, spending more time meditating and camping and trying to be happy. That's that's the hobby that I'm trying to pick up. All right, I'm giving up on trying to read the scrolling text. It does make me feel somewhat loved to see that this is so scrolling by so fast. Either creation has created a bot that just generates questions very quickly to make me feel good, or there are actually quite a few of you out there. Bye. Have fun. Don't get run over by a car. Okay. That's an enormous water bottle, Mason. Make sure you drink it all. She's going on a long walk, and she's wearing what appear to be leather pants and a leopard print long sleeve shirt, and it's quite sunny and warm. I'm not sure how that's going to go. So I am. Oh. Jawa Walker. I don't know how to pronounce your Jawa. I think that might be a Brazilian name, is my guess. If today was your last day on Earth, what would you do? Well, that's a sobering question. I think I would probably, oh God, this is going to sound very trite. I would probably hang out with my kids, and then I would meditate as hard as I could to try to attain enlightenment before being wiped off the planet. As I mentioned maybe earlier, or was that on another call? I've been reading with my son Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the Earth in the very opening of that book. For those of you who haven't read it, I'm going to spoil it. The Earth is vaporized, and every human except for the hero of the story is vaporized. And there's only a few minutes warning. They only find out that the planet is going to be vaporized with a few minutes warning, and some of the people just drink a lot of beer, and I don't think that that's how I would want to go out. But it is a question to contemplate. A last day on Earth. It's a little depressing. Now I wish you hadn't asked that. I'm just going to go cry into my teacup. Holly, Holly asks, if Joe Biden were to offer me a job, would I say yes? That really depends. First of all, I'm flattered that he wants me to work for him. Oh, you didn't say he did want to work for me, did you? You said if. For example, I'm going to posit a couple of hypotheticals here. Oh my God, this reminds me of a conversation that I had with a new friend on Zoom. There were a few of us like having this like Zoom social, 4 of us on this Zoom. And one of the people on the call was like, yeah, I don't know what to do with myself right now. I'm feeling like, I don't know what I want to do next. This is the person that I've only met on Zoom and talked to maybe 3 times. And she was like, I mean, I've done a lot of, political stuff. And so I was thinking like, maybe I should keep doing that. Maybe I should, I've been working for the US government for long enough that I'm grandfathered in so I could do an early retirement in 5 years when I turn 50. And so maybe I should just like keep up with the government job. But I just don't know. And I'm thinking like, well, what government job are you going to be offered? Like, you're going to be like, are you thinking about working, in at the Library of Congress, like collating the card catalogs, or like what kind of like I don't know what kind of government job she's talking about. And she says, I mean, I guess they've like sort of the Biden administration has offered me an ambassadorship, but I don't know if I want to do that. I'm like, wait a minute, you're I was shocked. I was totally shocked. I was like, I think, yeah, go ahead and take the ambassador job, and that sounds pretty good. Do that. For example, if I was offered, I worked in the I didn't work. I was an intern in the Office of Presidential Personnel for Bill Clinton, and that office it still exists. The Office of Presidential Personnel is the office where they make presidential appointments. So the president can not only appoint cabinet members, actually can't quite appoint cabinet members because they require Senate approval in order to be actually ordained as cabinet members. But there are a lot of positions in the government that are like one notch below Secretary of Agriculture or ambassadorships that don't require congressional approval. And those are, the president can just appoint these positions. There are 3,000 of them. And there were a lot of people applying for or throwing their hat in the ring for presidential appointments in this office where I worked. And so one of the things that I did is I would open envelopes from people who were applying for jobs. And I saved a few of the this is, I'm sure, a felony crime, but the statute of limitations is up and I can get away with it now. But I saved several of the applications that came in. And one of them was from a guy who said that he wanted to be an ambassador, I think like ambassador to Norway. And he was quite adamant that he was the man for the job, because God had spoken to him in the bathroom of the Mayflower Hotel and told him that it was his will, it was God's will that he be the ambassador. Another woman applied to be Secretary of Agriculture, I believe, and she had been I guess she had been in soft porn, and she sent all of these soft focus, glossy 8x10 nude photos of herself accompanying her application, which I thought, like, this is not going to work. No, you can't do that to apply for a presidential appointment. But of course, it was Bill Clinton, so actually maybe it was an effective means of vying for a job. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, if the appointment That is a long-winded answer. If the appointment was to a presidential appointment, Biden said, "Hey, I'd like you to come clean the toilets in the White House. Will you do it?" I probably would. Yeah. Sarcasm Princess says, "Hi, I'm Cass. I got to meet you on Thanksgiving." Where were we on Thanksgiving? How did we meet? I can't remember Thanksgiving. What's something that you can't get mad at your kids about because they get it from you? I was, like the elf on a shelf thing. I don't know if you all know this, but there's this sort of Christmas related tradition. It's sort of like the Advent calendar leading up to Christmas. Some people do this thing where there's like an stuffed elf that you put somewhere and you move it around the house, and the kids think that the elf is magically moving at night. In the morning, they have to go find it. I did something a little bit different. I had an Advent calendar, but I told the kids that the elves hide the Advent calendar. Advent calendar, for those of you who don't know, is like every day of December leading up to Christmas, there's like a little tiny door, and behind that door, there's like a chocolate or a candy or a toy or something like that. And our Advent calendar was like, it was a fairly substantial thing. And I would move it around the house after they went to sleep, and then put little notes in the door for the next day, and they would open it up and they'd find a note from the elves and a little gift of some sort. And one year I forgot to do it, and it was like December 5th, and the kids were like, "What's going on? Like, why aren't the elves leaving the Advent calendar?" And I was like, "I don't know. What's wrong with those elves? They lazy, useless elves." And then I wrote a little letter for the kids from the elves saying, "Oh, we were stuck in a snowstorm. We went to visit our friends on the other side of town, but then there was that snowstorm, and we got stuck over there. And we tried to come back on foot, and then one of us got frostbite, and it was like there's a long-winded excuse of why it had taken so long. But finally, they found a deer who was willing to let them like crawl up into its fur and carry them across town. And now they're back, and everything's fine. And they're back to where they normally live, which is in the walls of our house year round." And so then the kids were like, "The elves live in our walls?" And I was like, "I don't know. Read the letter. Apparently, yes, they live in our walls." And so sometime in the summer, I came home from shooting, and I got home, and West had a hammer, and he was demolishing the house. He was just like pounding a hole in the drywall of our mudroom, like at the entryway in the house. He was just like pounding a hole, a big old gaping hole. And I was like, "What, West, what are you doing? You can't just take a hammer to the wall like that." And by the way, he's way too old to be doing something like that. It's like he knows you don't pound a hole in a wall. And he was like 8. And he said, "I'm looking for the elves." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool. I get it." I can't be mad at you for that because the elves live in the walls. So he got it from me, and I couldn't be mad at him. I was mad at him briefly. Okay, what other questions do we hear? Hi, Misha. Not a serious question. What is the most random thing you have in your home? Probably elves. I don't know what else would constitute random. For some reason now, just inappropriate things are coming to mind, so I'm going to skip that question. Vika from Russia asks if I have a tattoo. I don't have a tattoo, and I feel like this is sort of a glaring omission in terms of body modification. I was feeling angsty, my brother and I, when I was maybe 14 and he was 12, and we like we used little knives to carve. I carved a peace symbol into my thigh that was like an effort to make. I don't really. I wasn't like an act of like. I guess it is self mutilation, but it wasn't. We weren't doing this to like hurt ourselves. We were doing it to like try to make a cool, lasting scar. So I tried to carve a peace symbol into my leg. It's very faint. You can still a little bit see the peace symbol, but I don't consider that a tattoo, and no one but me could identify it. I would like to get a tattoo of something related to my children. I think that would be my inclination. I know that's cheesy, but I haven't done it. Maybe I'll do it soon. Thanks for the tip. I'm not supposed to get any tattoos for at least 3 months after my surgery. So, and I have to take antibiotics if I do get a tattoo. That's the new rule. Parker is from Australia saying 2020 was a rough year for a lot of people. Do you have a message for people working on sobriety? I would say self-medicating is something that I have struggled with. Like there have been a lot of hard times when I've been like, I don't want to feel the feelings I'm having right now. So I'll drink or whatever. And it is never, it's never the right answer. But if you're struggling with sobriety, I would just offer this one nugget, which is, I think it really does help to have the support of other people. It's a hard thing to do alone from everything I know about it. So lean on people. I mean, I think that the pandemic in general has probably given a lot of us the insight that we really need one another, maybe more than we thought. I thought that I really identified as an introvert. I know that probably sounds weird. It's like somebody who gets on stage and feels kind of comfortable in the limelight, because that is true of me. But I like when I would go to conventions a lot of times, this is an embarrassing secret. I would find a room, like all the actors would be hanging out in the green room, and I'd say hi and hang out a little bit, but then I'd find a side room to go hang out in, because I would want to get some work done and get some reading done and try to get some alone time. And I always thought I just need alone time. I just need alone time. And people would ask me, if I wanted to go out for dinner or something, and I'd often be like, no, I gotta be alone. And I'm realizing now that I'm way more of an extrovert than I thought I was, and that I really need the company of people and community in order to thrive. And I think that this experience of the last year has really helped me see that going inward and try to handle things on my own and trying to create more solitude for myself is actually often, for me, counterproductive. And a lot of times that impulse to go in is actually an indication that I need to be going out, that I need to be reaching out to people and connecting with people. And I have found that this year pretty starkly. I've had a lot of hard days, like many people, and I keep on, my impulse is to just handle it myself and go inner. And I keep on reminding myself, no, pick up the phone, do a FaceTime, Zoom somebody, talk to a friend. And it's so crucial and therapeutic and essential. There's no question, we as humans are hardwired to be herd animals. We need the community of we need to be among the family of things in order to thrive and survive. So, yeah, I guess that's it's a little bit of a tangent on your question, but I think it's true. A question about a short film about an airport. Oh, how did this idea come about, and how much did you laugh while writing it? This is from Natasha. This is about the TSA shorts. My wife and my friend Philip and I co-wrote, and I directed and starred in, and Daniil Ackles is in one episode, and a few other friends show up in those episodes. They're very short. If you haven't seen them, I think that they're worth watching. They're kind of funny. And the idea came from going through TSA checkpoints. I went through a TSA, by the way, for those of you who haven't seen it, the little shorts that we made, I think you can find them on YouTube, or I think they're actually on Apple TV or something. It's called TSA America Level Orange. Daniil's episode is particularly gross. The inspiration came from watching. It was like early on after the TSA, like real intensive security checkpoints at airports were implemented, and I watched this old man who couldn't walk without his walker be forced to like go through the metal detector without his walker, but he couldn't walk, and he basically ended up like having to crawl through it. And I was like, what the hell is happening here? Like and obviously it wasn't like they weren't properly following protocol. These must have been like, the TSA itself was new, but these agents were obviously new. They didn't know what they were doing. But I was like, whoa, this can't be happening. And that sort of just inspired the idea of the stories. I went through a TSA checkpoint once, and one of the guy that was giving me a pat down because I had set off the metal detector was he was like, I've seen your TSA shorts, and I was like, oh shit, he's gonna like take me into the back room and give me a cavity search. I'm in huge trouble. And he was like, that was hilarious stuff, man. Good on you. So it was like, thank God. Yeah. I now set off the metal detectors because of my titanium hips. I don't know. Hold on one second. I'm just scrolling through the questions, guys. Be patient. God, you're so pushy. Be patient. Well, guys, I'm also going to offer you this last reminder that we're getting close to the end here. We have 10 minutes or so left. So if you do want to tip, I think this is you're getting into the window here. Okay. My goodness, there are a lot of people on this Zoom from Russia, it looks like. Привет. Мои друзьями. Мой русский язык очень плохо. Ну, я хочу говорю лучше. Okay. Joanna from Portugal is asking, what is the hardest scene that I have ever filmed? The hardest scene was, well, that depends on what you mean by hard. Hardest scene I ever filmed. I'm sorry. I have like stories are coming up and coming to mind that I can't tell. Oh well, one scene that was absolutely awful, awful. It was just like, are you kidding me? Are we really doing this? There has to be a better way. Um, there's this thing in filmmaking called it's called a Ritter fan. I don't know why it's called a Ritter fan, but I remember the name of the company was on this particular Ritter fan. A Ritter fan is it's about 7 or 8 feet tall and 7 or 8 feet wide. It's round like a fan, and it's basically like the propeller of an airplane. It's just like this enormous fan that creates wind that's like so strong that like you can pretend that you're in a hurricane or a tornado, and like you lean into the wind and it like will keep you from falling over. It's just like really, really intense wind. And they had decided that they wanted to use a Ritter fan for this scene where Dean and Cass were crawling toward the portal to get out of purgatory and back into the real world. And we're crawling up this dirt hill that was just like loose sand and gravel. And the Ritter fan is blasting on us. And it was like literally crawling into a sandblaster. Like it was just it was unbearable. It was like getting in our eyes, and it's like kicking up all this dust. We were both like hacking up black. And of course, it's television. So they had to shoot. We had to do like 5 different takes of this and different camera angles. And Jensen and I both agreed like that was the shittiest day of shooting I've ever had. I have another one for you. I worked on a movie called Finding Home. Absolute garbage. But it was my first like leading role in a movie, and I was so excited about it. And it shot in coastal Maine, and it was supposed to be summertime in the movie. But there had been the director was so incompetent that what was supposed to be a 5-week shoot ended up being a 3-month shoot. And we found ourselves in December in coastal Maine, and we were supposed to be having this scene. It was a night scene, and I get in a fight with this other guy, and we're fighting in the waves in the ocean. And it's December in Maine, and we can't have wetsuits on because we're just in our like short sleeve shirts. And they had to go out there and melt with torches the snow and the ice off of the pebbly beach, so that it would look like summer. And then we had to like go into the surf and fight, but not just immediately register shock on our faces because we were so cold. And I mean, this would never have happened on Supernatural or any other like legitimate production, but this independent feature, they somehow got away with it. I remember they had an ambulance there and paramedics because they were pretty sure we were going to get hypothermia. But that was a really hard scene to shoot. That was cold. Yep. But I guess I don't have much to complain about. It's not like being a Navy SEAL or anything. It's basically a job where you just pretend you make believe. You don't even really hit each other. You fake hit each other. So compared to actually going into a boxing ring or something like that, or actually climbing through a portal from another dimension, it's all child's play. It's all easy. All right. It's the last question time, guys. It is Parnia. She says, "Hi, I'm Parnia from Iran. I love what an international audience we can have in this context. It's so cool." She says, "We love you here. Thank you for that. I have some of my dearest friends over the years have been Persians, and I have never been to Tehran or anywhere in Iran. And I would love nothing more. I love Persian food, and I have a particular affinity for the Persian people I've met. So I appreciate your kind words, but I also would like to say, please bring me to your country. Take me to your people. Oh, that sounds so fun. Maybe that's where I'll go as soon as the pandemic is over. I'll figure out how to get a visa to Iran. Anyway, the question is, who's my favorite villain? And the answer is, of course, Donald Trump. I can't wait to see him go to prison soon. That's so exciting. And see what he'll do in the next chapter of his life. And that's a really great last question. Fitting for me, I would say. Well, I would like to say some parting words since that was my last question. And I will say these words. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for your absurd string of questions. You are lovely. You are not alone, even though during this pandemic you likely feel quite alone. And I can't wait to see you all in person. We had been doing, as I mentioned earlier, I think I had been working too much when I was on Supernatural, and we were doing a lot of conventions, and the combination of trying to run Gish and work on random acts and do other things and play with my kids and go to go to creation events on the weekends. It all felt like too much, and I think a lot of times I was showing up at conventions like tired and grumpy and not my best self. But I have to say, one of the things that I really do miss from the hindsight of enduring a pandemic, I really miss those conventions. I miss seeing fans and my castmates in person, and I can't wait to get back to it. So I hope I can see you all sometime in the coming year, and I hope you all stay healthy and get vaccinated and take care of each other and be kind and generous in the world. And we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.